Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We got some cool stuff to go over today. Go Bitcoin. So we were talking about these ideas and we were saying potentially that we could hit a break of these upper trend lines on this consolidation pattern. And then what ended up happening, and I said, this is kind of, the bullish scenario for Bitcoin, is it comes up here, it did, and then, it comes down, finds support on this trend line right here, and then continues higher. So that's exactly what we're seeing right now. The only thing that we're looking for, and this was the Elon Musk pump right here, which is crazy. So, probably what ended up happening is Dogecoin was probably way too. Let me get a Fibonacci. Dogecoin was probably taking way too much of the market cap, and Bitcoin was kind of falling, losing dominance, and they had that financial revolution with the stock market or whatever. Elon Musk, like one of the technocrats, is probably like, crap. What if they lose faith? This is looking really good on the fib. You could even pull it, like, that's a retracement, but you can even pull it on a trend and it would probably look just as good. But it's probably like, crap, they're gonna lose faith in the new system we're trying to push them into. And Bitcoin dominance was falling, and a large part of that was because of things like people are putting their money into Dogecoin, and even though it was outside money, people still would have factored that into the, yeah, it looks great. This is the accumulation, this is the golden pocket, and we broke above it on the fib, retracement trend tool. Alright, so the only thing that I'm looking for is volume at this point. We have this bounce, we have a close on the bounce, which is on the 4 hour, which is substantial, which is exactly what we were talking about yesterday. The only thing, and all of these, because they were broken right here, I mean, we could test them as resistance, but because we've already broken above them once, the chances of these becoming resistance are only if volume continues to be extremely poor, but it looks like we're just going to consolidate up to these levels and then potentially blast through them. VPR support seems to be pretty strong right here, relatively speaking, and then as we move higher, we get less and less support, and that's kind of like dictates that wick. But yeah, Elon Musk yesterday, because I was looking at that. I was live when we were talking about this ginormous green wick, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, why is it not pulling back? And it was because of all the FOMO from Elon Musk talking about it. And so that has a negative impact on BTCD, Bitcoin dominance. I was going to pull some of my coins over and start selling some of my mid caps, but then the Ethereum gas fees are so high right now. I'm just like, oh wow, on the 4 hour market side, first calling a top. So that's relatively good for, we were in this consolidation pattern yesterday, but then the super trend is saying it's a buy. So right here, super trend saying it's a buy, and then market cipher saying it's a top right here. It looks like a little bit of consolidation right here into like a consolidation triangle, or into a consolidation channel. So where would that be? That'd be right here. So this, don't play me like that. Is it seriously gonna give me a trend line when I just clearly clicked on consolidation channel? whatever, we can just manually do it. Yeah, it seems to like perfectly have hit that measured move breaking out of the channel. And then this is broke just perfectly enough to have the potential to reverse this uptrend idea, which would be this pocket right here. But at the same time, it wicked this and then continued up. So we'll see what happens. It's almost like a morning star pattern on the hourly. Almost. We'll see how it closes. And this is bearish engulfing, nearly. I mean, it's not engulfing the previous candlestick, but it's that idea of that long bearish wick. And then the idea that I'm looking for on Ethereum would be, you have this trend line right here, and then essentially you would draw this right here, draw this right here, like this. And then essentially what we would want to see is we would want to see the price action break above this trend line and then test this new all-time high right here, which is 14,775 approximately. If we can break that area right there, which is not like a real resistance area, we need to just get up there. And then if we can manage to have enough volume to push us above this level, Ethereum is going to go, I don't know if it's going to go parabolic off that specifically, but that would be extremely bullish. And a potential head and shoulders. Let me play that idea out. Inverse head and shoulders. I don't know if I said inverse, but so this would be the first shoulder, head, shoulder, and then possibly, and then the neckline would be right there. So possible inverse head and shoulders. If not, definitely resistance flip support idea. So we'll delete that. That was just so you got the idea. So essentially you have resistance right here, the price action comes down, finds support right here, you have resistance, comes down, you have resistance, comes down, you have resistance, comes down, resistance, comes down, support. Now, this exact same line right here, where Bitcoin was constantly coming up, resistance, 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 that same line area where it's hitting this resistance is now flipping to support. So at the very least you have a support resistance idea where we're potentially finding support on previous resistance, which is bullish, and we could see a bounce like this. We could bounce off of this resistance, or off of this support area right here, and then continue higher. Again, the lead indicator is going to be Bitcoin, so if this idea doesn't play out, you know, it's most likely because Bitcoin is the lead indicator and Bitcoin isn't. But Bitcoin looks to be good, and it's supported on that trend line, and it closed. We're just looking for volume on Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, this is the major area we're looking for right here. We break above that, Ethereum is going to go nuts. Alright, so we look at Bitcoin, we looked at Bitcoin dominance, we looked at Ethereum. Let's take a look at ADA, see how the charts are doing. Cardano. Oh my gosh, absolutely gorgeous. It's almost recovered from the weekly and from its initial major pump. Not financial advice, just you guys know that, you know, I look at the charts and not only do I tell you the price action, but I also tell you guys like actionable game plans. And I tell you what I'm doing with my own money. And if we can get a bounce right here, you know, you want to keep an eye out on Bitcoin dominance, but if we could get a bounce on this trend line right here, I would definitely be buying at this area. Like, I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm telling you that, you know, this is an area that I am definitely looking at buying at if, you know, and essentially what I would do and what I'm going to do is look at Bitcoin dominance. You know, if Bitcoin dominance continues to fall, then I would definitely be looking at accumulating right here. You know, and it perfectly coincides with this support area right here. And so I would be accumulating probably 50% of the buying power that I delegate to that position. So, like for example, we did really good. We bought some Ethereum like really cheap. Like we're already up a lot on it on this channel. Um, and I had like $5,000 that I was looking at putting into the markets, and I was like, oh, well, Ethereum right now is looking like a hot buy, and then it is, and it looks like if we break that all-time high today on Ethereum, it's gonna go nuts. But I would probably delegate like around $1,000, and so if I'm delegating $1,000 to buying power on Cardano, what I would do is I would first buy 100, or I'd buy 500 right here. If the market sentiment looks like there's going to be a bounce, and then if it does end up breaking this consolidation pattern right here and go down, I would hit another, you know, 250 around the strong buying pressure, and then another 250 at the bottom of this measured move, essentially, and cost base average into it that way. So you're cost base averaging in. But a lot of people think cost base averaging is just where you chunk out, you know, when you're buying. A lot of people say that, oh, cost base averaging. A lot of people in crypto space I've been involved in a lot of different markets, and it's really just crypto that does this. But in cryptocurrency, they always say, oh, cost-based averaging is where you buy, one day, and then, a week later you buy another day. And really, cost-based averaging is just averaging out the cost, like the average cost that it, like the average price of what you're buying. And so, I mean, I'm dictating it on the price action, which is a lot smarter than dictating it based off of. I mean, if you can read charts, then I would dictate cost-based averaging based off of the charts. Like, if you know it's going to go down, like, why buy, when you could just wait? You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that this is going to guaranteed go down. I'm saying if it does go down, I would love to buy some Cardano at this level. You guys know we are huge Cardano fans on this channel. Like, I mean, it's kind of like Bitcoin. Like, if you don't know about Cardano, then you might not be a fan of it. But like, if you know about it, there's no excuses to not like it. Like, I literally tried to get. I had some synthetics tokens from a while back, and I tried to get them taken care of. Like, I tried to put them on the market, from my ledger, and the Ethereum gas fee to do that was $25 on the slowest, what do you call it? Um, I don't want to pronounce it weird, but essentially like the slowest, fees basically, because you like incentivize the network with your gas, so you can have higher or lower gas fees to incentivize the network on the speed to conduct your transaction. And like even on the slowest gas fee, like it would have taken like an hour or two to conduct that transaction. It still cost me $25 just to move. It cost me $25 just to move my synthetics tokens from Ledger to the exchange that I wanted to move it to. To potentially look at, like, I just wanted to have them on exchange, maybe sell a small percentage. But I'm like, with 25% or with $25 gas fees, like, that's cutting into my ROI, that's cutting into my return on investment so much, it's not even worth me doing, which is just ridiculous. Like, Ethereum gas fees are so ridiculous. And they say they're going to improve, but I mean, that's speculation, if anything. Now, you know that we're incredibly bullish and we have a profitable long on Ethereum. It's the paradox. Cardano is literally backwards compatible with Ethereum. Like, how can anybody say that Cardano is not it? Cardano is backwards compatible with Ethereum. Like, literally any single developer on Ethereum can literally effortlessly move over to Cardano once they launch the mainnet. It's just gonna just absolutely murk Ethereum in the long run because it's just so much more efficient and so much more practical. And they're starting to write JavaScripts. So if you can have JavaScripts, then you have all sorts of programmers, not just programmers that are learning the Ethereum code. Like Ethereum code, they're like, oh, you have to learn this specific code to code on Ethereum. Well, what Cardano is saying is, well, we want more uh, potential programmers, and so what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to more familiar scripts like JavaScript. And so like people that know JavaScript, can write Ethereum based or write Cardano based codes and develop dApps on their system. It's just Cardano is just so ridiculously much better than Ethereum. And people say, well, what about Ethereum 2.0 staking? I'm staking my Cardano right now, and I love staking Cardano right now. And Cardano is more decentralized than Ethereum. So more people stake on Cardano. Why? Because everybody knows it's better. But all the money is going towards Ethereum right now, and that's fine. We'll play their game, but Let me look at the validity of these touch points. This is calling for a top on market cipher, which is really interesting on the 6 hour because that would essentially break this consolidation pattern. Let's see. The title of this video should really be is BTCD, Bitcoin dominance over? Like, is it going to continue to rise? But it looks like Bitcoin's consolidating to a relative degree because even though the price action is slowly going up, yeah, it looks gorgeous. Even though the price action is slowly going up, it's going up slowly, and the volume's like falling off a cliff on Bitcoin. So, I mean, that does give a lot of room for when Bitcoin consolidates. That's gorgeous for BTCD. So let's go back to Bitcoin dominance. You guys know I love Chainlink, but like, we already on this channel have a bag of Chainlink, and like we've been just murking. I mean, so like when you see this right here on BTCD, when you see this on Bitcoin dominance, this is because of that pump. And, you know, I think it's just like a shakeout, you know what I mean? Like, you have this giant pump, but it's over. You know, this was from when, and this is, I want to make sure that my audience knows for sure that this is Bitcoin dominance. I'm not saying the pump on Bitcoin is over and that we're going to, you know, continue lower because on the charts that's not what it's looking like because we found a 4 hour close and found support on the upper trend line of a consolidation pattern, which we're just looking for support on volume, which it looks like we're just going to slowly grind up at this point. But as far as Bitcoin dominance is what we're looking at right now, which is relevant to the altcoins, it looks like it's just going to continue. Like, this is just like a shakeout. Like, this is just that ginormous pump that, you know, this was like Elon Musk bought Bitcoin, and then basically Bitcoin dominance, a bunch of money went into Bitcoin. And it looks like it's going to, you know, return down to this level. Really what you want to see right here is as it drops, you want to see, like right here, you can kind of see it, but you want to see, is it going to find support at this level and continue higher? Or is it going to break through this resistance level and then continue lower? And you know, it's weird to trade a percentage like that. You know, it's not real price action, but in Bitcoin dominance, it's always a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it always, people do look at that, and so it does end up playing out. All right, what else we got? BTC, USD. Where's my Coinbase? There it is. Also, Binance charts. I don't know. Let's take a look at the Binance charts. Or Bybit. BTC, USD, perpetual contracts. Alright. So yeah, this trend line right here, this very important trend line. And it just broke through all this, you know, these are support channels right here. So, or resistance channels. I mean, the green is support channels, basically a lot of price action. Where Bitcoin has in the past found support on these levels. Like, so you come down, find support, find support, find support, and then there's a lot of previous price action in here for Bitcoin's price to find support on. And then these are essentially resistance channels. You can clearly see lots of price action like this. You see right here, right here, right here, and so this is a resistance channel. It broke through all of that, so none of this is really relevant anymore. Really what we want to do, I don't know how much I like these charts. Like, I might go back to So this right here is kind of a head and shoulders idea, but we talked about how that wasn't really relevant anymore, but it's still relevant in the sense that this head and shoulders pattern is starting to make, this high and then lower high, and and possibly, we come into this idea of potentially you have this right here, which would be the first bottom right here, and then the second bottom, and then essentially we wake up right here, and the neckline would be about right here, and you have one, two, neckline, and this is essentially your double bottom continuation pattern to the upside. And if that is the case and we do break, obviously we're looking for 42. If we break 42, we're good. And then I kind of just added this. So this bottom right here is a low, and then this is essentially a lower low, and that's what that stands for. And that's kind of like professionally how you would draw charts, like with these scoops right here. Alright. And then just a lot of consolidation ideas, with this potentially being the largest formation, essentially like a falling wedge, maybe a bull flag, depending on how it's drawn, more like a falling wedge. Consolidation pattern at the most macro levels. You can see touch points right here, and I think there's another touch point. Like, yeah, these touch points validated though. Alright. BTCD, BTC, USD, Coinbase. So yeah, we came down, we perfectly hit this as support. It's weird though because we broke it as, we broke this area as support, then we came back up, wicked, and then came back down, and then found it as support, and now we're moving higher. So, I mean, it's not a very strong area of support. I mean, it was broken right here, and the volume is not really supporting it. So this isn't like something like that I would necessarily trade on. I would be, which we're about to do in a second. I just wanted to see, like, it was weird that there was a wick down, but it was supported, and so I wanted to see on the lower time frame candles what was going on. So it's relatively bullish. I mean, we could see some consolidation upwards. The thing is, like, if you're trying to trade this, or, if you're looking at this idea as like a bullish, it is technically bullish, because we did technically bounce on this and find support right here. Um, Honestly, like, I'd be looking for a confirmation test, like coming down, retesting this area again, making sure it's support, because, like, what the heck, it wasn't support right here. So, I mean, another confirmation test, hitting this area, not breaking it like this, and then continuing higher would be nice. But really what we're looking for, because we technically do have that 4-hour candlestick close on the higher time frame, um, we're essentially at this point just looking for volume to support this idea, because that's really what we want to see to confirm this breakout pattern, or confirmation of, like, basically this is a big step for the bulls. This is a bullish sign for the bulls, and basically we want to see is the buying pressure there because we just showed the bulls like you guys are clear to show up, like this is obviously a good sign for you. So let's see if the bulls will come, push this price higher. And right now that's just not the case with the volume, and that's extremely concerning. Like I would not be trading this pattern right now, just because like there's no volume. And BTCD, as we know, is it's falling, but it's still up. So I mean, there's a lot of and that could relatively be, well, I mean, there's not really any excuse. I was gonna say because of Dogecoin, because like a lot like BTCD is the market cap measurement of. Is it just consolidation? I mean, this is significantly lower than this, but essentially, like when all those people were putting their money into Dogecoin, that affects BTCD dominance, Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance is the amount of percentage of money that's in Bitcoin versus alternative cryptocurrencies to Bitcoin, which um, obviously Dogecoin is an alternative currency. I'm not saying that it has a use case, but people have used it for different things throughout the year, but it doesn't have like a use cases, and like it's not like a decentralized oracle or things to that nature. Um, so I mean, I would stay away from Dogecoin, like just in general, especially when I was thinking last night, I wish I had a Telegram group because what I wanted to tweet out last night is that Dogecoin is going to get wrecked the second that Elon Musk tweeted about buying Bitcoin, because Bitcoin dominance is just going to rise like crazy, like it did, and then basically that's going to be bad for altcoins like Dogecoin, and there's a potential accumulation zone on the Fibonacci retracement where Dogecoin pulled into the golden pocket on the lower band, which would have been a decent accumulation zone. But you have to think about supply and demand, and only like smarter traders would know to use the Fibonacci, and like none of these TikTokers are really going to be able to do that. So we could possibly find support right here, or if we break below it, yeah, that's a bearish. That's good for Bitcoin. Oh, is this Bitcoin? This isn't Bitcoin dominance. Wow. We still haven't broken that selling pressure though. There's still more buying pressure. We have to wait for this to close. Still more buying pressure technically right now on the 15. But yeah, big like I wanted to tweet that like to let you guys know about how a Telegram. I can start getting a Telegram set up. I do think that we have an awesome community, even though it's extremely small. All right, now the selling pressure is more in the immediate short term. So yeah, we might get a retest of that trend line. It looks like. So I mean, the trend line's right here. Potentially, we want to see something like a bounce, like we did. Yeah, volume just trended up on the. I mean, this is on the 5 minute, but this is really where all the stuff, all the trends start. Let's go to MACD and RSI, and we'll toss in the Bollinger Bands for fun, for good measure. MACD, RSI. RSI is still bullish, although this white right here is signifying a possible reversal of the trend. So the trend is bullish and it's also downtrending. So we're losing the trend, and it's showing a reversal type scenario. RSI is gorgeous. We need to use RSI more on these, and then we can find divergences. Or we need to use MACD more. on this channel. I'm looking for like divergences on the RSI. RSI seems to be trending downwards. We could find support. This is more fractal type ideas, but on this channel we are, supporting like both advanced and non-advanced traders. So definitely we could find support potentially on this idea and then possibly continue higher or lower, but this would definitely be an area to look for. Looks like we do have a bounce right here off of potentially that fractal idea. Although, yeah, for it to play out, I mean, this is on the 5-minute chart, so it's not as substantial. But technically, textbook, what they're going to say is, if you go to textbook, they're going to say anything below the 50 is relatively small, but slightly oversold. So we're slightly oversold on the 5-minute. But really, it's not a concern until it hits 30, is what textbook says. It's just 50 is the mean, and we're not. And yeah, you can see it. TradingView puts it like 70 is overbought, and then 30 is oversold, and it's dictated by those lines right there. So, I mean, to really exacerbate the RSI, volatility, what you would do is if you go to the 1-minute. And then it's almost, we almost got to that level where we would have been overbought. But in heavy volatility, like it can just easily tank the RSI and negate that idea on the RSI. And then Bollinger Bands, people like to look at it. Where are the Bollinger Bands? And again, these usually tend to be these ideas like MACD, RSI, these ideas tend to be in consolidation type situations. These tend to play out like this. But as volatility increases, like when Elon Musk bought a bunch of Bitcoin last night, obviously this Bollinger Band, probably all the way up onto like at least the hourly or 2 hourly was definitely not respected. So I mean, when volatility really comes in, and usually the Bollinger Bands try and constrict and expand based off of volatility and market momentum and things like this so that they can prepare for something like that. But some like news like that obviously was no match, and then obviously the Bollinger Bands can't predict trend lines like consolidation breakouts, and so usually they get wrecked on consolidation breakouts followed by high volume. And so it's really when Bitcoin starts cooling off or consolidating or looking for potentially like an area to retrace before continuing higher or lower is where these Bollinger Bands start to be a tool. Alright. Price action looking a little slow. Sub to the channel. I'll be back. I think we streamed for an hour. We're really just looking for a test of that area right here. If you look, this area right here, this trend line right here. Let's see if it can hit this area, bounce off, bullish, hits this area, rejects this support area, and then bounces down, bearish. And then always take a look at volume and if we do get a bounce at this area right here, and then it's supported by volume, that would be extremely bullish. That would be best case scenario. And then essentially, if we get rejected right here and there's a lot of volume, like pushing it to the downside, that would be extremely bearish, essentially showing a harsh rejection of that support line. Of which I think if we did get rejected, like, and off of this support, I think we would just consolidate still. But and I think that if we do find support on this level, we would still relatively consolidate, but just ideas to look at. I'll be back later today, probably an hour or two. So sub to the channel if you want updates on what's going on with the price action.